Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We've got a wild storm going on here this afternoon, so hopefully you can hear me over the wind and the rain. And I'm going to be carrying on with a theme that I started very early this morning. I did a reading this morning on the race allegations against the British royal family, Meghan's infamous allegations in the Oprah Winfrey interview, which Omid Scobie is now claiming will bring down the royal family. But I want to carry on with that theme, and I apologize for those who get impatient with readings that take a long time to warm up and start. I have to just put this into context. I have shuffled the cards, and for those who are interested, I'm using the Venetian Tarot for this reading. It's a very good deck for telling stories, storytelling deck, and it's also very good for intrigue and conspiracy and those kinds of things, clandestine meetings and arrangements. And the theory goes, the reading that I'm going to be doing today is that Prince Charles was behind the Meghan and Harry matchmaking that went on apparently, allegedly in Soho House. That Prince Charles was very concerned as far back as about over 20 years ago that the British royal family was just too pale and needed to have an injection of colour into it. He expressed this in a major interview at the time. And just to add that this all comes from Bookworm 2, and if you haven't heard of Bookworm 2, Google her. She's on YouTube. She's got a fantastic channel. She's got all kinds of inside info, excellent sources, excellent research, detective work, very interesting stuff. There are a lot of juicy morsels there to entertain yourselves with, so highly recommended. This is basically her theory, which I'm explaining to you now very quickly, and I will be testing with the cards. The theory is Prince Charles couldn't do anything about it because he was already with Camilla, long-term relationship. Prince William obviously wasn't eligible to marry a woman of colour because he had already met Catherine and they were in a long-term relationship. They were obviously heading for marriage. And so Prince Harry became the likely candidate, according to Prince Charles. And he, of course, over the years had failed relationships with pale blonde girls, so he became more and more of a likely candidate. And then, of course, Prince Charles expressed this idea, this desire that Prince Harry marry a woman of colour. He expressed this idea to his friends, one friend in particular, the father of Violet von Westenholz. And the idea was passed on to the Yorks, to Fergie and her daughters, who were very well connected with the Soho House lot. They're all members of Soho House already at that time. Ron Burkle, Mishinonu, Marcus Anderson, they knew them all. The word got out in Soho House, and of course, the Soho House connections thought immediately of Meghan Markle, and introductions were made. So that, in a nutshell, is the story, and I'm going to be testing it now. I have 8 questions for the tarot, and I will be looking to see whether Prince Charles was involved, whether the Yorks picked up the idea, whether Meghan was in on it from the start. She was aware that the royal family, Prince Charles, wanted this injection of colour. How Prince Charles felt about Meghan Markle when he met her, how he feels about her now, whether Harry knows or suspects it was all a setup, instigated really by his father, and what the outcome will be for Prince Charles. And I apologize again for that rather long intro. Let's just see, 8 questions for the cards today, 8 scripted questions, and see what the cards have to tell us. Venetian Tarot. And of course, this is just a tarot reading, just for entertainment purposes, just my opinion. And as I said, if you want more, go and look at the Bookworm 2's channel. And the underlying energy is the 5 of Cups. So whatever has happened with this, it's been a very unhappy experience for Prince Charles. Very unhappy experience possibly for everybody involved. A lot of regret, a lot of remorse. a lot of wish I never did that, or never had those thoughts, never expressed those thoughts. It's in the reverse, which means that he's trying to recover from this regret, but it also tends to indicate that this regret just goes on and on and on. And that's a very interesting energy to come out as the underlying energy, the extra card, not a scripted question, just a general energy. So this first card is, what was the energy around that meeting when Harry met Meghan? What was the energy around it? And I get the Six of Pentacles, which is a card of, it almost looks like a transaction in this card. It's money being handed over to someone for services rendered. It's normally the card of charity, of sharing, of quid pro quo, what you put in, you get out. It's a business deal. I'm getting very strongly off this card. This is not a romantic meeting. This is not a blind date that your friends set up because you're both lonely and you both got broken hearts and hey, maybe you two will hit it off and that'll be lovely and we're all in the same friend group. This is business. This is money. This is negotiations. This is very much so, very much people making deals on the side. And I think everybody getting from this card that everybody had a stake in it. Prince Charles had a stake in it. The Soho house lot, Marcus Anderson, had a stake in it, allegedly, just my opinion. Meghan Markle had a stake in it. She was on the scrounge for a wealthy husband, and particularly a Brit. She expressed that publicly. She was in on it too for the money. This is the general energy reading for the actual meeting. This is the general energy for the actual whole spread, okay? That's just for the meeting, business transaction. There was a pie, and everybody was going to get a piece of that pie. So, $1 million question. Was this all Prince Charles's idea? However idly he expressed it, or intentionally he expressed it, was this his idea? And I get the Four of Pentacles in the reverse. And that's an interesting card because it's the letting go of something. It's letting go of control of something. And in this case, to my mind, in the context of this reading, this is letting go of that particular genetic background, that particular pool that royals traditionally came from. Northern European, a particular class, aristocracy. His own wife had come from that group, and we all know what happened to that marriage. So it does look as if he was saying, I'm no longer gatekeeping. I'm opening the doors, I'm letting go of this, and I'm welcoming in whatever wants to come into the royal family to make it more inclusive, to make it more representative, and to make it more palatable to the Commonwealth countries, the vast majority of whom are not of Northern European extraction, are of every other colour and creed that exists on this earth. And I'm not criticising his sentiments at all. I think they're noble sentiments, and I felt very encouraged when I first heard that Prince Harry was involved with a biracial woman, an independent woman. I've said this many times before, that I was delighted. It was the woman in question who was the problem, not the idea behind it all. So it is looking as if that's a nod from the cards that yes, opened the doors to this experience. Did the Yorks pick it up and run to Soho House with this idea? Wow, Death card. That is just a shocking card. It's just foul. The energy that is coming off this is absolutely foul. Because if they were complicit and just an opinion, just a tarot reading, just entertainment purposes, their intentions were less than pure. Major arcana, death. They wanted to end something. Their intentions here, whatever motivated them and whoever they took this idea to, their intentions were very dangerous towards very dark towards the royal family. I can literally say from this card, they wanted to bring the royal family down, and I'm not saying that the York family wanted to bring the Cambridges and the Waleses, let's say the Waleses, not the Cambridges, the Waleses down. But possibly the people in Soho House that this information was spread to had those intentions. And there was that girl, and I can't remember her name, and someone will remember hopefully and put it in the comments. And I'm sorry I haven't been able really to check in with comments recently. I've been distracted with other things. But there was that other girl, that girl from Texas, who came forward at some stage and said she had been approached to make moves on a British prince and hook up with him, and the intentions behind it were dreadful, and she turned them down, and her life was basically ruined after that. They made sure that she was ruined after that. So this is a really very sinister energy that's coming off this card right now. Very sinister. So the next question, we've done Prince Charles, we've done the York/Soho House brigade. Was Meghan Markle in on it from the start? Was she aware that this was the idea, that Prince Charles wanted a biracial woman or a black woman, somebody to come into the royal family and basically reposition them, make them more acceptable? Five of Pentacles. This is telling me that she was down and out when the news came to her. She was down and out, and it's interesting that the Six of Pentacles is the card that follows immediately afterwards, the meeting. Her luck changed when the meeting took place. She was down on her luck. She was feeling like she had reached the end of her career. We know that. She was on the scrounge for a wealthy husband. We know that. She'd already dumped one husband. Had hooked up with the Canadian chef. I can never remember his name. Lauren Sanchez, the girl, the Texan girl, Lauren Sanchez. I think that's her name. But she was down and out, and feeling sidelined. She was getting old. She could be a lot older, allegedly, rumour has it, than she claims to be. Certainly Neil Sean on his Showbiz channel, always nudge, nudge, wink, wink, when he mentions the fact that Meghan is 40. Always a bit of a snigger there. So she was going through hard times, and she was certainly amenable to an injection of cash, to a deal being made that would bring her in from the cold and into the lap of luxury if things went well for her. So I would say yes, she was aware of what was going on from the start. I'm having to shout over the rain, and it's pouring down at the moment. But it does look like it was all a setup, and with some very sinister motives behind it. Not just poor Prince Charles's idea that the royal family needed to get up to date and change with the times. Britain itself certainly is a very multicultural country, which is why everyone's so deeply offended when Meghan Markle claims that the British people are racist. They are absolutely not. I have lived in Britain and I know. So, how did Prince Charles feel about Meghan Markle when he first met her? Was she the answer to his dreams? Oh my word, he was enchanted. The Two of Cups. He was absolutely smitten with her, more possibly than he should have been as a married man. He was enchanted with her, loved her, adored her, thought she was just fabulous. Fabulous. I mean, that card just says fabulous. Really. Touchy, touchy. Ick. How does he feel about her now? King of Cups. I'm not getting regret. I'm not getting remorse. I'm getting disappointment. The King of Cups is always very emotional about things. He can be somebody who hides his emotions, always overwhelmed by his emotions. So this isn't Three of Swords, stabbed in the heart, or Ten of Swords, deeply betrayed, but it is the idea of being possibly as a water sign man very overrun by his emotions, overwhelmed by his emotions, not really managing his emotions. This card isn't in the reverse. If it was in the reverse, then definitely emotions out of control. I'm reading this card with this card that came out as the underlying energy. We're getting cups and cups here. We've gone from the Two of Cups, just she was a dream come true. And he believed that this was true love for Harry and Meghan. He believed in that whole lie. It was a lie, my opinion. I've just actually been watching the engagement interview again with the body language guy. Very interesting analysis. Also, if you haven't heard of him, do go and look at it. He's fascinating. His observations on the royals are absolutely illuminating and confirm everything that I suspect, and you all watching it, watching this video suspect as well. I think that Prince Charles is suffering from buyer's remorse there because of this underlying energy. This is the King of Cups. So, does Harry know or suspect that wheels were set in motion, started by his father, picked up by the Yorks, and that this wasn't an innocent meeting at all, but a carefully calculated, plotted and planned meeting? Does he know? No. Seven of Cups, he's deluded still. He believes the lie, he believes the fantasy, he believes the crock of lies that was sold to him. The Seven of Cups is being self-deluded, is being naive, believing that all things are possible, that you have all these options. Prince Harry obviously believed that he just had to walk into a room and women would start throwing their underwear at him, and that he and Meghan were star-crossed lovers who met, and the rest is a beautiful romance, a beautiful fairy tale. And they are literally Romeo and Juliet who had to flee their hostile families and go and seek their fortunes elsewhere. We hope it doesn't end like Romeo and Juliet ended, at least for one of them. I still have some sympathy, some pity for him, but not much. Gullible. This is a gullible card. Yeah, he bought it. So gullible. They all knew he was gullible. These people in particular knew how gullible he was. Told her, and there we have it. The match made in hell/Soho House. And outcome for Prince Charles. Is Prince Charles going to rue the day? Is it going to come back and bite him? What's going to happen? The Moon. That is a card of doubt, regret, fear, that haunting. There is haunting in this card. Some degree of doubt and disturbance in his psyche about it. Major arcana, we're getting there. So it is something, a secret that haunts him, because the moon is of course hidden things that you don't want coming up to the surface, that lie beneath the surface, and that colour, unfortunate choice there of words, that colour your actions, your conduct, your consciousness. So it is going to haunt him. It is something that he fears. He fears the truth coming out, because there will be repercussions. Look at how those two cards match each other, and this is why I say this is one of my favorite storytelling decks, the Venetian Tarot, because these two cards match. If the truth gets out and this bubble is burst, this illusion is burst, there will be all hell to pay. And on that rather ominous note, I'm going to leave you, and I'll see you on the next reading.